Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Borders Sustainable Development Goals Book Club. And welcome to the fifth in our campaigns to promote great African children's books published on the continent and in the diaspora. I'm Olatunde Gabi-Williams, the founder and host of the book club. So what do we do in the book club? We talk about the books we've picked. We talk about the themes related to one or more of the SDGs, and we talk about the United Nations International Decade for People of African Descent, what it may or may not mean to my guests. Since midnight, 26th of October, we've been campaigning around a delightful children's football book set in the world-famous football city of Liverpool. Jacopo, football star, what a title. Is written and was self-published by Phina Oruche, a Nigerian-born actress. She was a fashion model, she's an actress, a broadcaster, and now a debut author based in Liverpool, United Kingdom. In a YM Liverpool interview, Phina describes the book as a love song to her son, and she hopes the book will encourage children, especially young boys worldwide, to read. With me in the club to chat about Jacopo is none other than Jonny Bailey, a 16-year-old football star and all-round nice guy. But I won't introduce Jonny. I'll let him tell you about himself. And do remember, everyone, welcome again, to send us lots of love in your comment boxes and also to ask questions, which will be relayed to me, and I'll relay them to Jonny. And so, let's meet my lovely guest, the amazing Jonny Bailey. Over to you, Jonny. Tell us about yourself, what your plans are for the future, where you are right now, and your hobbies.
Just want to say thank you for the introduction first. Yeah, I'm Jonny. Nice to meet whoever's in the audience. I'm 16, going on 17. I'm currently in education, and which is sixth form right now. And my plans for the future is just to keep on working hard, because I know if I do so and I'm consistent with it, it will get me to a place where I can be satisfied and content. Yeah.
Fantastic, lovely to meet you. Okay, so you read Jacopo, Football Star. Again, I think what a lovely title. And so what did you think of it before we go into the actual reading? You know, your general overview of this delightful book. What makes it original? What stands out to you?
I mean, well, it was just a good read in general. It follows the story of a 10-year-old footballer, a 10-year-old aspiring footballer. You get to see his process as he continues improving, and how his experience with that process. So.
Yeah. And what jumped out at you? What specifically jumped out at you? And so many things jumped out at me. I love all the Scouse words. You know, I loved his relationship with his mom. What made the book special for you?
I think coupled with his character, the Scouse language as well, because it's not something you normally see in a book, mainly due to grammatical this and that. But I think that it definitely worked, especially for the style of the book.
Yes, and the fact that it was written in the boy's own voice, Jacopo's own voice and words. And I loved his relationship with his best friend, Ikim. I love the way the city of Liverpool comes so alive. But okay, so the book is broken up into chapters. I love the subtitle, Hi, my name is Jacopo, is the first one. And I love the subtitles, the chapter titles, One Crazy Day, you know, Playing with Toffee. It's a lovely book, lovely concept, so effervescent, so full of love and flowing with life. So which chapter are you going to read from? And let's listen to you read, Jonny.
I'm actually going to read from chapter One Crazy Day, which is further on into the book, towards the end. Yeah. Okay. I'll get that up.
A sort of 3-minute read, 2 to 3 minute read, no more, so we can chat more. There's lots to talk about.
Right. Do you want to get it up, or should I go and do that? I
No,
don't
you
know.
do that. Are you in a position to do that? You have the book with you. You have.
I am in a position to do that. Yeah.
Okay. I've been told reliably by my technical assistant that we're having difficulties with streaming on Facebook, and this is the first time this has ever happened. So we're streaming on YouTube and on Twitter. But he seems, I've just had a thumbs up from Terry. I don't know what that means, but we're streaming on 2 platforms, and that's pretty good for me. So welcome again to everybody, and I'm very excited to hear Jonny read from Jacopo Football Star.
Just finding the chapter now.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Here. I'm gonna go ahead and read it now.
Please do.
One crazy day. That day was a British summer record. You know, one where the papers say, "Phew, it's the hottest day since 1976," and immediately everyone starts moaning, "Oh, it's too hot. It's too close. You can't work in this weather." I was hustled off to Liverpool Academy's ground because after my epic match, they wanted to check on me. My mum was fuming. She said, "What do they want?" Me mum's biased though. She thinks it's too much to do to a young boy. I just want to kick a football, me. It still felt awesome to walk back into the academy reception. This time when we went in, the receptionist said, "Hi, Jacopo," when I walked in. She knew my name. The other boys just looked at me. I tried to hide my smile, but it was difficult as I was grinning from ear to ear. This time I practically skipped into the changes and never looked back at me mum. Didn't need to. And she walked to try to sneak into the cafe. That's me. Mum never got over being on the A-list, but this time they caught onto her and she was sent with the mortals to the stands. When I walk through the tunnel, I can literally hear the crowd roaring in my imagination. I see my mum has taken her coat off now. I know it's hot. My mum is first generation Nigerian, Igbo, and she said my nan who's from Enugu are always saying it's cold. Drove me dad nuts. I skipped through the tunnel, remembered me water bottle, had everything together. This was going to be easy, but it was hot. I played brilliantly. We did matches as well as the 1x1s and 2x2 drills. This time I didn't hesitate to grab a boy's shirt if I needed to, and I shook everyone's hand after that session. Men with clipboards, oblivious to them, mate. I am Jacopo, I got this. Then, as if that wasn't great enough playing with LFC for breakfast at tea time, I had to do it all again for EFC. This time I was playing a match. My mum's concerned. I am concerned, but I say it's fine. And so we go home. We eat, rest, and later that evening we go to Finch Farm, EFC's training ground. Keep up. And yeah, that's the one crazy day chapter.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Wasn't that well read? Thank you, Jonny. For people who don't know, and I didn't know before I sort of looked everything up, tell us what LFC is and what EFC is. Because there are lots of people in the crowd who are, my age group and who are not involved in football at all. So tell us about LFC and EFC.
LFC and EFC are both two major football teams in England, and LFC stands for Liverpool FC and EFC stands for Everton FC. They're both in the same area, which is Liverpool, and they're both rivals to each other.
Right. And is it a bitter rivalry? It's can we have the coat of arms or whatever you call it, the arms of EFC and LFC up again? Is it a bitter rivalry, Jonny?
It is a very bitter rivalry.
Based on just sports competitiveness or anything else? It's just sport. It's just a sport thing.
I'm sure there's a history to it, but from what I know, it's mostly sports competitiveness.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So why did you choose that part? What made that part jump out at you? Because the entire book is so entertaining. With, as I said, all these wonderful sections, chapters, discovered post-game analysis, the news. So why did that, tell us about that part for you? Why did it resonate so much?
I mean, there are a lot of authentic descriptions, but also it kind of marks the point where you see him going from grassroots level to having his name familiar with reception staff and playing for two highly esteemed football teams. So you just see the process, and it's it's a good thing to see.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about SDG 16. Can we have the icon of SDG 16? It is focused on promoting peace, justice, and the strengthening of institutions, Jonny. And
Right.
the family is an institution. And the family plays a big part in Jacopo football style. So talk to us about Jacopo's family. Um, Talk to us about the family, which is described in the blurb as a fragile family. Talk particularly about his relationship with his mom.
Well, his mum's name's Ifoma, and his dad, and his mum's Nigerian. Oh, so yeah, his mum's Nigerian. Her name's Ifoma, and his dad's name is Fabrizio. He is Italian. They're both divorced, and at times it catches up to Jacopo. He says that he hates the fact that they're divorced, and with reference to the story, he says, "But since my family split up, I have been a bit lonely, and so has me mum." But to talk about his relationship with his mother, which is pretty much what you see mostly throughout the text, um, he feels she embarrasses him. She's an actress, but they do get on well. And with reference to the text, he describes her as more like a friend than a mom. Um, she does put her foot down, and she does also want the best for him at times when he thinks she's getting in the way of his football career ambitions. And
Yeah. So can I just interrupt there? I think that actually he sees her very much as a mom and very much as a friend. I don't think I think what came jumped out at me from the book was the fact that Ifoma does both very well. She's very much a mom, she's very structured, very focused. She's raising him with very good values. She structures his world very well. She manages her life, his life. I think what really struck me is not so much that she's more of a friend than a mom, but that she does both the friend and the mom part so well. What do you think, Jonny? Now that I've said that.
um, well, I mean, the Jacopo mainly, he's just playing football. He doesn't really have much control over other factors, and we see his mum taking control of a lot of things that he can't get himself involved in. For example, when he was 10 years old, he wanted to get into the academies, etc., at an early age, but his mum just wanted him to play football and enjoy the game at an early age. So she did definitely play the role of the mom, putting her foot down at times when need be. But with reference to the text, he describes her as a friend, which is why I put that point up before.
Yeah, which is a great compliment from an 11-year-old, because we see him. It's a year in his life, I think, isn't it? It's a year. I lost track of the chronology, but I think it's a year in his life. The book was a year in his life. But yes, I mean, I think that's a testimony to how well she understood him and what a fun-loving character she was. And as mothers, and it's our prerogative to embarrass our children. I don't think you're going to ever find a single child who doesn't complain about his mom being really embarrassing. I mean, I took so many pictures of my kid, when he was growing up. I'm embarrassed looking back now, and it's just lovely. She's very enthusiastic about her son's life, about his happiness, and that just the only thing comes through very much, doesn't it, in the book?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, hair plays a big part in Jacopo's story. Before the trial, he says, "But I have to do something. I have to throw a shape. What young brother doesn't have his fade shape before something this big?" First of all, the vocabulary is beyond me. So maybe you can explain that to us. I have to throw a shape. what young brother doesn't have his fade shape before something this big? So tell us about that. Tell us about your relationship with hair as a footballer and about whether hair is a big thing. I see you have a very colorful hairstyle. Whether hair is a big thing for you guys in football. I see a picture of Mario Balotelli there, and I
Yeah.
remember Jacopo mentioning him in the book. So tell us about hair and football.
Well, for me, growing up playing football, I wasn't really too conscious of it. I just played football, and yeah, but towards my early teenage years, maybe 13, 14, I started to pay more attention to it. And I think a lot of footballers pay attention to it a lot today. For example, Pogba on the screen, as we can see here, he frequently changes his hair. Um, I think it's almost a way of standing out for the players. Like, in a sense, I guess they're trying to create their own personality. But I know for a lot of football players, it is an important thing.
Yeah, it's like a culture for football then, because you don't really see it in other sports so much, that emphasis on hair. Do we? Johnny, you know more than me.
Um, well, Lewis Hamilton does. He's a Formula One
Yeah,
racer, but
that's true. Yeah,
other sports I can't really speak on.
yeah, yeah. No, it's very interesting. And they would just did it strike you as well? Just so much on hair. I love the him and Akeem. I think if we have time, I'd love to read a little section about from the book out. Um, okay, so Jacopo's life sounds really hectic, managing so many activities. Tell us about your own life as a footballer, and how you fit it in with your life as a schoolboy, etc. Because that plays a very prominent role in the book as well, just making everything work. You know, yeah.
Well, I mean, with someone who has a hectic life juggling football and school, a lot of people would bring up the issue of organization to them and stuff related to that. That controlling that definitely has a positive effect. However, in some circumstances, saying that is a bit too easy, and I think sacrifices have to be made sometimes, but organization can get you far.
Yes, 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 yes. I wish I could. Now we've started talking about Jacobo's hair. I really want to find a section about Jacobo's hair. Um, so yes, yes, yes. All footballers, he says, have a great hairdo. Pogba and Balotelli bleach their afros blonde. Me, mother's probably not going to go for that, but I have to do something. I have to throw a shade. What young brother doesn't have his fade shape before something this big? So he WhatsApps his friend, his best friend Ikim, and what do they talk about? They talk about oh yes, he says Ikim says mine's braided at the moment, and Jacopo says, "Oh, send me a picture. My mum won't let me have mine done." And it's lovely. It's just absolutely adorable. The conversations between himself and his best friend Ikim. Um, I really recommend this book to all of you watching. It's just delightful. I mean, the way it really highlights relationships, and as I said, between his mother, Jacopo and his mom, Jacopo and his best friend, and it's such a lovable child. Okay, so Jacopo's scout, John, gives him a lot of mentoring. He phones him, encourages, do you have mentors who guide you and encourage you, Johnny? And do you think mentors are important?
On the topic of mentors, are we including parents or not including parents?
Anyone can be a mentor.
Well, then I'd say that. Well, and
Anyone.
I'd say my parents to an extent. Yeah.
Yeah. What if in the game of football, do you have a scout or coach? I mean, I don't even know your journey into sort of amateur football. Tell us about that. Who mentored you along the way into that?
Well, with football, I didn't really have a mentor, to be honest. I had a team coach, who was the coach of the football team that I played in. But he was more like a manager. But with refereeing, I had a mentor for a short period who would just guide me through the ins and outs of what you need to do and just give feedback when necessary.
Right, right. And you valued that, and you felt that it was very important to you to have that kind of feedback from him.
Yeah, I mean, I would always value information by people who are more experienced than me because I was still a student in the game and I still am, to be honest. But
Mm.
yeah.
So yes, okay. So I mean, I'm going to talk about your life as a referee, your work as a referee, but just very quickly, just tell us how you moved up the ranks in football. How did it begin for you? Because I know
Football.
you're a paid referee, but how did it begin for you?
Well, age 9, I joined like a local Saturday football program, which I just played for an hour every Saturday, and that progressed into me joining a football team, which I stayed for about a year and a half to 2 years before moving on to another football team,
Hmm.
um, which was in a completely different area and a completely different league. Uh, I've played for many football teams. Then I went to an Arsenal development centre and worked on my ability there. And then I moved on to an higher level football, the Eastern Junior Alliance League. And due to specific uh, circumstances, I had to leave from that team, and I eventually joined another team. And then after that, I decided to take a break and focus on other external things that were going on for me at the time.
Yeah.
But from age 14 to now, I've been refereeing, and refereeing wasn't too hard for me to get into. I just had to do a course and a couple of
Right.
exams.
Right. Right. So Johnny Bailey, the referee. Okay, so tell me very quickly. Tell us what you gain as a referee. What do you think you gain as referee, generally from the angle of sports and also from the angle of your own sort of character development?
Um, well, it requires you to be very decisive, and you have to know what you're doing because if you don't, um, things could go south. Players and managers could lose respect, which could cause the game to not go in your direction, and that's the last thing you want to do. Because as a referee, you want to be in control of the game, and you want to be assertive, and you don't want that control to be taken from you due to your own mistakes.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Very, very interesting. I like the decisive. I like no life. I like the impact that kind of work and that kind of focus has on your character development and the way you look. It's it's very, very useful tool that you're acquiring for going into the world as an adult. But let's have another read from the book, shall we, Johnny? Let's look at representing the city, page 39. Do you have that with you there?
Yeah.
Okay, let's read that. I think that's fun.
Oh, you like me to read that out for you?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Right, I can do that.
39.
Right, representing the city. How far would you like me to read? I can go.
Just a couple of pages. Let's see how we get on. Yeah.
So, do you want the good news or the bad news? Okay, let's go for the good. We meet once a week for training for Liverpool schoolboys, but play league matches against all other cities or towns in the region. So I still cannot consistently go to my grassroots team. I'm not allowed to go again, but often I'm away representing the city. I miss it. Akeem is with me, and our mothers and our fathers alternate and bring us week in, week out. Rain, sleet, snow. As with academies, boys get let go after a week here, a week there, just told politely at the end of the session to come back to the next trials in the next year. Ouch, but me and Akeem last. Phew. We really enjoy playing together. and we made some really funny mates too. Curly and Josh are there, and now there's Kai, Leo, Larry too. All different from each other, from different parts of the city, different schools. We do so well that our next game is the quarterfinal, and if we win, we get to play at Goodison. Yes, you heard me. Goodison Park, as in EFC, as in real pitch. Whoa, it's a bigger size than any of us are used to playing at our age. But Akeem and I want that shop window. On the day of the quarterfinal, Akeem shows up with hair extensions, braided in. He looks sick, as in the slang for fantastic, not sick as in the dictionary term ill. I had braids once, at his nan's 70th, but other than that, my hair has crazy cuts in it. I had Mo the barber cut some serious patterns into it, but it was tame by comparison. But we were late. I'm not sure why or how my mother and I were late, and suddenly she's getting called by and texted by the coaches and the other mums and dads, who are worried that I won't be there, as if she is mortified. She never ever ever is late anywhere, and we got up at the usual time. 5 minutes away, she snaps into the phone, hands-free of course. Our version of hands-free is mum saying, "Answer the phone, Jacopo, put it on speaker so I can hear it." She has a Bluetooth, but she hasn't got a clue how to set it up and won't let me, even though I definitely could. Finally, we get there. As she parks, I run haphazardly to the game. Of course, it's on the furthest away pitch possible. When I get there, they have started, which is really awkward, because I play centre mid. I look at the coach, he shakes his head. I literally blow steam out of my nostrils. They run on like a Tasmanian devil or a whirling dervish, and play like I have never played before. I score all 3 goals and we win easily 3-0. Get in. We're going to play on a real great big pitch that's been on the telly. Come on, son.
Isn't that lovely? That's one of my favorite, parts of the book. It's such an exuberant journey to the top. Okay, so now let's talk about something that we have to talk about when it comes to football, and that is racism, Jonny, in football. Race relations, racism. It's a hot button topic issue with FIFA, the Federation of International Football Associations. And FIFA has been really working to eliminate it. Talk to us about your experiences as a footballer, and also, your view of racism or race relations in professional football. So talk from the personal angle first, and then talk also about what you see in professional football.
Well, playing competitive football for me wasn't recently, but from what I can remember, there weren't too many instances of racism. But I'm quite certain that there may have been a few. At grassroots level, though, any type of racism is more likely to be stamped out quickly, because if it's just a parent on the side, manager can just address him quickly. With regards to my views on racism in professional football, were you asking?
Yes, I also asked about that. Yes, at the professional level.
Racism is definitely more common, especially amongst the fans, where could be 200,000 plus fans in a stadium, and you're not going to be able to pinpoint like a grassroots manager who's coming out with whatever jargon. I know that the FA have been for a while pushing the no racism label, but I know it's definitely quite common in the professional level.
One moment, Jonny. Can we have images of some of the professional footballers, please? I asked Phina Oruche, the author, to give me a blurb about the book. And this is what she says. The book takes a look at the access to institutions that our young people of color have to tackle, and finds that the football academies have really worked hard in partnership to increase diversity and get a harmonious racial atmosphere for the generations coming up. She talks about, yes, that access to institutions for young people of color in the arena of football has really improved, and that concerted efforts are being made to promote diversity. Um, do you know anything about that, Jonny?
Um,
Concrete, efforts being made specific, towards inclusion and diversity in, football clubs, academies. Have you?
Not specifically. All I'm familiar with is advertisements on TV with famous players saying no to racism.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So let's talk about football as a unifier, which is the bright side of football. Tell us about your own experiences, things that have made you really happy at your level, and also things you've seen in the world of professional football that are really heartening.
Well, playing the game is enough for me, but when you see good instances of sportsmanship, for example, if something goes down on a football pitch and instead of players reacting emotionally, they're able to solve it in a sportsman
Right.
way, which is always good to see.
Yes, it is. Any experiences that you've had? I mean, yes, that's absolutely correct. Just playing the game in itself, but any experiences you've had that highlights, diversity, the happy stories of diversity and inclusion.
Well, I mean, uh, football. Well, people of all backgrounds when can have football as a common interest. So when they get together and do that, it acts as a unifier in a sense, and it could break the ice in a way, um, especially amongst those who are uncertain around others. Uh, for
Mhm.
example, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Carry on. For example, dear.
For example,
Carry on, Johnny.
when you're um, at a football trial, for example, and there's a collective of people from different backgrounds there, and you all get into a football match together, and through that environment, uh, interaction happens, verbal interaction, and then ice is broken.
Yes. Can we have a thank you, Johnny? Can we have the cover of the book? Because I love the fact that Jacopo is a mixed race boy. I mean, it's not a huge amount about being mixed race in the book, but of course, he's the personification of diversity. Being a mixed race, he's half Nigerian. His mother's Nigerian. His father Fabrizio is Italian, and his best friend Ikin is also mixed race. And they have this sort of like League of Nations, a whole group of friends. I think when he gets to go to play in Goodison or something, they have that more or less like a party. They go in a convoy, and it's just like the League of Nations. It's one of the things I love about the book is that it's so colorful, you know. And for me, that's the one of the very heartening things about diversity. It's just so rich in color, and visually, I like that very much as well. Um, and of course, all their hairstyles, all sort of very rich in color as well. All these footballers. Um, okay, so we've discussed SDG 16. We've talked about. Did we discuss about the family? Yes, we did. We talked about the family. We talked about. But not. We didn't talk much about the fragility of the family and how much Ifoma has to take on. And but at the same time, I thought they were a very strong family, um, even though, yes, she's a single parent. The relationship she has with Jacopo's father is actually a very exemplary relationship. They come together as a family for the sake of the child, so they put aside whatever differences they had, which made them separate, and come together as a family. I love that meal they had together. Was it when Jacopo was going to play some important match, and the father Fabrizio resumes his normal place, his old place at the dining table. Can you remember that, Johnny? And so
Yeah,
it's back to normal. And I thought that was very, not just positive, it shows a strong family, because there's love. You know, there's so much love there. So okay, so we've talked about 16. We've talked a little bit about SDG 10 in terms of um, inequalities and how the efforts that the academies are making to integrate and these institutions to promote diversity. You've talked to me about your experience, and of course, SDG 11, which is safe cities, is not possible when there's such strong discrimination between demographic groups or against demographic groups. It's impossible to have a safe city in or resilient city or even a sustainable city. It will lead to, without equality, without integration, it will lead to protests. It will lead to violence. It will often escalate into violence. So it's important that these moves are being made to promote inclusion and diversity, and that these children who have so much energy are being channeled into these institutions that build them up and promote and celebrate their difference. Okay, so let me read again a bit from the blurb that Phina Oruche provided. Is there more to it than kits and keks and kickabout? Definitely. It's about partnerships, cooperation, hard work, which if Jacopo perseveres will lead to economic wealth and the ability to give back and help those in the community. What else does the journey involve? As he rises through the ranks, he gets a superior education. And as a result of the football, the sport, the physical activity, Jacopo is fit, healthy, with his friends, alongside his friends, and they are well positioned for success. So, talk to me about the other relevant SDGs. Jonny.
SDG 11 was something I was going to bring up. I know you brought it up as well, but sustainable cities and communities is something I feel is that could definitely play a factor in how in the process of an aspiring footballer to achieve what he's trying to achieve. For example, if the community is not very safe and stable, it could cause a lot of external factors to get in the way of the aspiring footballer's passion, a negative impact.
Yes, 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 yes. Of course, good health. Sports, the promotion of sports for young people, it really does promote. It's better than sitting at home watching TV and eating hamburgers. So it's these books they foster a culture of good health and well-being. And so that's SDG 3, and education is something that we discussed already that Jacopo has to juggle with his sporting life. And his mother was always very focused on him doing well academically. Tell us about how you juggled your academics with your sports.
Well, it wasn't easy to say the least, but I tried to make it work as best as I could. Persuasion was something I often used as a tactic, but it would only get you so far. Education had to take a priority. I wasn't the best at organization at times, but I was able to develop that skill more over time. But it's important that you don't neglect either two, in my opinion.
Yes. I mean, it's a rich life. I mean, I like the focus on healthy mind and healthy body, and also you explained that these what you learn on the pitch, and I know that the Ifoma in the book talks about that. These are life skills that you learn on the pitch that are going to really serve you well as you forge your career, whether your career is in the corporate world, sitting behind a desk and rushing around going to important meetings, or whether it is sports as a career path. And of course, the book is all about sports as a career path. What do you think about because you are a referee and you do get paid, Jonny. What do you think about football as a career path for you?
Um, I think that having football as your only option can set you up for downfall and can set you up for somewhere in life that you didn't expect to see yourself going. So, in my opinion, it's always possible to have something on the back burner. I'm not saying put another option at the same equal value as football, but just to have something there so you know you don't end up in a pitfall if things go south
Yes,
with
yes,
your football, because doing that often leads to a lot of people um, having high expectations, leading to high frustrations.
yes, yes, yes. But yes, it was a lovely book, and this has been a really lovely um, conversation. And let me hold up the well, can you see people? Jacopo holding. Can we have the cover of the book? This is my. Can we have the cover of the book, please? A delightful book. I really recommend it. It's just a beautiful, rich journey. It's an adventure. We watch him grow. As I said, it's a celebration of a mother-child relationship, and the author, Phina Oruche, has described the book as a love song to her son. It's a superb children's football book, and yes, and I hope the people, everyone in the audience listening to Jonny and I talk about the book and read from the book, um, have enjoyed the little teasers and will go out there and buy the book. And so the last question now, Jonny, we're bang in the middle of the United Nations International Decade for People of African Descent. It started in 2015 and ends in 2024. What does that mean to you, if anything at all?
I think it's important and praiseworthy that effort is being made to give the Africans with talent and skill more recognition than they currently get, and it's something to be supported.
Yes, 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 yes. I mean, that's very important. The promotion of African talent, and I'm glad to see that. I read just recently that Penguin Random House, um, they've started a Lit in Color project, which is going to make sure that English literature at the GCSE at school level expands to include and represent far more writers of color, which is a wonderful thing. This kind of movement, and this is also the decade for action for the SDGs, the 2020, the deadline for making the world a better place in 2030. And I love the intersection between the United Nations SDGs and the African decade. So, thank you for joining me in promoting the SDGs, amplifying the message, talking to us about your football life, and sharing your love of Jacopo football star with us. We wish you all the best of luck, continued luck, God's blessings as a referee, Jonny, and in the future, whatever you decide to do, I'm sure you're going to excel. And bless you. And until next time, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us for this book chat. And thank you to Phina Oruche for writing Jacopo Football Star. And yes, I must say that Phina Oruche has responded to the interview questions in a podcast, which will be uploaded in the club, in the Jacopo section of the Borders SDG Book Club before the end of the week. So you can listen and enjoy her responses as author of the book very soon. Thank you to Phina, and again, thank you all. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me.